Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 982A, and today's date is May 27th, 2016, and the title of the episode is G7 Leader Warns Global Economic Crisis is on its way. Now, before I get started, I just want to make two announcements. The first one is that I put a new interview on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel. It is James Perloff, so if you go over to the YouTube channel X22 Report Spotlight, you can see the video there, or you can come over to the x22report.com site, scroll down a little bit, look over to the right-hand side, you can view the video there, or go to newssentinel.com, same thing, scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side, and you can view the video there. Now, I just want to thank everyone that has been listening to me. I know the YouTube channel has hit 100,000 people, and I am very grateful. I am very appreciative of everyone listening to the X22 Report. I started this, and I remember when I had 5 people. And this channel was started to look at the economic news, look at the political news, look at the geopolitical news, and take all of this and put the pieces together to figure out what was going on, because we know the corporate media, we know the U.S. government, they lie to us, and we know that they leave a lot of information out, and they never back any of their information up. And I wanted to look at all the indicators, create this picture of what was going on so we can make sense of it. It wasn't being used to predict anything. It's not being used to look into the future. It's being used to look at what our government is actually doing, what's really happening in the economy. This was the whole purpose, and still is the purpose, of X22. And I am very grateful and very appreciative of everyone listening. I actually didn't think it was possible that anyone would actually listen to me at all. So for all those people that have been following, all those people that have been listening, even the people that don't like what I say, even the people that give me dislikes, you're still coming to the channel, and you're still adding something where it makes people think. Now, I'm not telling everyone to believe every single word I say. I do research, I do look at different information, and everyone should do the same, and everyone should question everything our government is doing. Our founding fathers, when they created this entire system, that's what they wanted the press to do. Question the government. Keep them in check. And this is what it is all about. And if there is someone who's commenting or someone who dislikes, that is actually good, because it makes people say, well, wait a minute. Is Dave telling us something that's not right? Or is it this person? And then when they delve into it, they say, okay, I made the decision for myself. Now I know what the answer is. It makes people think. And when people think, people question. And when people question, the truth eventually emerges, and we finally have what is really going on. And I just like to say, I am honored to have all of you listen to me. Once again, really, thank you very much for following me and putting up with me. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, during this whole entire week, we have seen a lot of the manipulated statistics come out where they're pushing the information, making everything surge to make it look like everything is fine. And this is all being done to push the market up as high as they possibly can. During a collapse type of scenario we saw back in 2008, what they like to do at the very end, when everything is falling apart, when everything is struggling to look good, they manipulate as best they possibly can and push everything up. And when we look at all these economic indicators, we see that a lot of the information doesn't even make any sense whatsoever. The stock market, they're trying to push up as best they possibly can. Gold, they are suppressing. It looks like during this whole entire week, they've been suppressing gold. And we see right now that the UMich consumer confidence, well, it's starting to fade a little bit in May here. And we've seen it has surged since April. And right now, it's not moving up as high as they possibly wanted it to go. And we realize that the Gallup polls are showing that hope is actually declining, while the government agencies that are funded, that are supported, usually show hope is continually rising. And of course, as they continually push the market up, as they continually push the manipulated data out, the people around the world who are still sleeping, who don't realize what's really going on, think that everything is perfectly fine. Now, look what they've done with GDP. They revised the numbers and they said, oh, GDP is not as bad as we thought. It's up to 0.8%. Now, people around the world, when they hear this, they say, see, it wasn't 0.3, it wasn't 0.5, it's 0.8. Well, that's still awful. That is not good. And you have to remember, GDP is completely manipulated. If you take out all the research and development, you take out Obamacare, you take out all of this information, we're really down in the negative area. And all of this has been created and structured to make everyone believe that everything is fine. But now look, all the manipulation that was added to the GDP, they could only get 0.8% out of it. That should tell you something right now. That should tell you that this manipulation is failing. And normally during the summer months, normally during spring, normally during this period, people are happy. School's coming to an end. People are thinking about vacation. Warmer weather is here. People are generally happy. And while people are generally happy, you know what you do? You manipulate the statistics, make people think the economy's doing well, and this is exactly what they're doing. And this is why right after the summer, we see everything completely fall apart, because it's all an illusion. It's the way they structure it. And when we look at all the economic indicators, with retail contracting, with housing prices falling, houses staying on the market longer and longer, sales aren't really there, and manufacturing declining at the same time, the Baltic Dry Index falling at the same exact time. When all of this is happening and we only get a 0.8 GDP, we have major problems. We had an emergency meeting of the Fed, the president, the vice president, finance ministers, just a little while ago. And of course, during that meeting, they were thinking of ways, what do we need to do at this point to keep the people in the dark? Now, if you notice, gold is being suppressed right now. And what's very strange is that less than 1% of investors, they actually own gold. But the Fed, the corporate media, the financial media, they all mock gold. Now, why are they continually putting down gold if not many people even have it? So why is it so important to trash an asset class that no one really owns? Well, if gold is such a bad idea, why are central banks buying it? And why do we rank countries based on their gold reserves they own? That's very interesting. And if the goal of central banks is to generate inflation, why is owning gold stupid? I mean, they've completely abandoned the facade that they're trying to generate growth. The Bank of Japan even admitted that QE, ZERP, that doesn't work. Mario Draghi, he never uses the word growth anymore. And the Fed is concentrating on inflation targets because GDP growth is impossible. So why do central banks care so much about inflation? Well, the reason for this is because they finally come clean that their primary concern is the bond bubble, not the real economy, not the people. They're trying to sustain themselves, sustain the government, sustain their bubbles that they created. And we realize that gold is perhaps the best inflation hedge in the world. Now, during the G7 meeting, we had the top leaders get together to discuss the economy, and Japan's Prime Minister Abe had just one task, to let the group know that there are problems in the economy, that there's a global economic crisis headed our way. But he failed to do that. Instead, the other leaders are out there saying that the economies are strong, things are going well, there are absolutely no problems whatsoever, that the global recovery is continuing. Japan had pressed G7 leaders to note the risk of the global economy exceeding the normal economic cycle and falling into a crisis if we did not take appropriate policy responses in a timely manner. And we can see right now that the rest of the leaders, they didn't want to hear this. But Abe presented documents to the G7 indicating there was a danger of the world economy heading into a crisis on the scale of the 2008 Lehman shock. Now, we know at this point, from all the economic indicators, from everything that we've been looking at, that this crisis that is heading our way is going to be about 100 times worse than what happened back in 2008. 2008 was the run-up. 2008 is when a lot of people lost their wealth, people foreclosed on their homes, people lost their jobs. Many of people never recovered. The Fed stepped in, created a lot of free money, bought up toxic real estate, told the banks to pump this free money back into the markets to pump up the stock market, keep homes off the market to drive the prices up, issue and let everyone take out student loans, manipulate the auto manufacturers, drop the requirements on auto loans, housing loans to boost this illusion up. And here we are today. Things are rapidly falling apart. All the economic indicators are pointing to a major collapse heading our way. The government is fighting as best they can to keep the illusion alive until the very, very end, and even then they will not admit it. And at this point, this is why everyone needs to be ready and prepared, because this crisis that is coming, this collapse scenario, is going to blindside everyone, except those people that are awake. Everyone else, they're living in this alternate universe, thinking that everything is fine. And actually, we saw this to the run-up of 2008. People didn't realize what was happening. No one knew that we were headed for a major problem in October going into October of 2008 going into 2009, because the government, the Fed, everyone was telling everyone that everything was fine. And what everyone needs to do at this point is they need to prepare for what is coming. You need to make sure you have food, water, supplies, gold, silver, cash on hand, a weapon to protect your family. You can go to Costco, you can get canned food, you can go to the supermarket, you can go to lifelines.com, they have water filtration, they have bug out bags, they have emergency meal plans. But it doesn't matter what you're doing or where you're getting it or how you're doing it. The point is to do it. Look what's happening in Venezuela, Brazil, Argentina, Greece. Look what's happening in Europe. The unemployment rate is much worse than what they're reporting. We know now that they completely manipulated everything. And we see the world economies are completely manipulated to make everyone believe that everything is fine. And what they're preparing and getting ready for is for this system to come down. Now, they want to take it down themselves. They want to bring it down themselves in an orderly fashion so they have full control. Because, again, they don't want to be blamed for it. They want to blame another group or country for what is about to happen. And at this point, everyone needs to be ready. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.